What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Wide Open Throttle here, and today we're going to do another review on an awesome product. So what do we have on the table? An Insta360 webcam. And what makes this thing over other webcam is that this has AI that tracks your movement. So if you're moving around, walking, showing on a whiteboard or whatnot, it will track your motion. Also, if you're doing TikTok dances, whatever, it can focus on you and move along with you while you are in motion. So this is what the device looks like, what the box looks like rather. And wow, look at this, a transparent screen. Maybe they have technology that we don't have access to, but regardless, it is pretty futuristic and an amazing little product. So let's see what the box offers here. Oh, there we go. What I was talking about earlier, on a little whiteboard doing presentation, webcam, attaching it to your monitor, and just talking. Seems very casual, holding his coffee cup. All right, cool. Let's see what he has here. What's in the box? There's definitely a lot of translations there in different languages, but we have the 360 link itself, USB-C cable, a USB-C to USB-A adapter, a recognition marker. So I'll talk a little bit more about that later in the video. Quick start guide and a warranty card. Nice. All right. So what else does I have on this side here? 4K video, half-inch sensor, which is a pretty decent sized sensor. So hopefully it'll get more light and get you better clarity. AI tracking, as I discussed earlier. Rapid focus, whiteboard recognition, gesture control, so you can do hand motions with it. Noise canceling mics. That would be nice if you're webcamming in a very noisy environment, especially wind, but I don't know if you'll be doing outside much. But also, even indoors, people don't know about that because it can filter out AC noises as well. So if you're in an environment where the AC is consistently blowing next to you, that can reduce some of that too. And a privacy mode, which shuts off the camera or points it at a direction where nobody can see ya. All right, and what we have here. Cool, that's pretty much it. So let's crack this baby open and see what's inside. Let's peel this thing off there and open. Whoa. All right, this is actually a lot smaller than what I expected. Has a nice little foam cover here, keeps it nice and padded. All right, so for size references, this is a United States quarter. And that is how big it is compared to a quarter. So as you can see, it's very, very small. Actually, a lot smaller than what I expected. So let's see. Wow, I thought this was going to be like a big, clunky little thing, but it is mounted on a gimbal, so it's always going to stay level. And as you can see here, it's very wiggly jiggly. And you can also take this in a landscape or a portrait mode. It will automatically flip the camera like so. So if you're doing your TikToks and whatnot, and it predominantly in portrait mode, so you can always adjust it there too. Software based, by the way, so it's not a button on here that you push that makes it into orientation. All right, so we have a USB-C input port here, and that's going to be your connector. And then we have your mount screw right here, which is universal. You can mount it to any tripod or any mounts. And let's see, double tap to recenter the lens on there. And also, caution, the camera may get hot after extended use. Okay, cool. So now we'll take that off. And this does come with a attachment there, so you can put it onto a monitor if you wish. So you can do it like that, or you can just do this directly to a tripod mount. All right, so I'm gonna set that aside. What else we got in here? I'll lose my quarter. All right. All right, nothing left in there. Nothing left in here. So what do we got here? Actually, this is a pretty decently long USB cable. Normally, the manufacturer would give us like a little 3-footer, but this one here, look at that, USB-C to USB-C, and it's a fairly decent length. Okay, what's in here? Oh, this is the adapter. So you got the USB-C to USB-A. Boom. Fashionable. And you got your desiccant, which we don't need. And these are the markers on the whiteboard, which I'll show you guys how to use later on. And we got your compliance information, warranty card as promised, and a quick start guide. So let me get that all laid out here. All right, so this is all that comes in the box. Next, let's get this installed and show you how it works on the computer. Alright guys, so now that we're done with the unboxing portion of the video, we're going to hop right into how to install this to your computer. Now the quick start guide that came out of the box in the Insta360 is quite vague, and quite frankly it's useless. So I'm just going to show you how to install it without having even to read the manual. So what you want to do is visit the Insta360.com's website, and then you're going to reach this landing page here, and then go to the top where it says download, click that. Go down to your device, which is the Insta360 link here, and then from there you're going to have to download 2 files. First is the Insta360 link controller, and then if you scroll down you see the Insta360 link firmware. So what you want to do is download both of these. So you're going to hit download, the yellow button here, and then you're going to download the other one there. Alright, so now you're going to go to wherever it is that your computer downloads the file, most likely the folder called download, but I moved it to my desktop for your convenience. So what you want to do is install the first file, which is the Insta360 link controller, and then we're going to go through the setup. And now we wait for the setup to be completed. Alright guys, so now that the install is done, all you have to do is go to your desktop and find the Insta360 link controller. And before you click on this icon, make sure you plug in your webcam. It's going to do some cool light shows, and then after that, click on this, and boom. What's going on everybody? It's Wide Open Throttle. So now you can see me right after I launch that software. So I'm gonna go through all these buttons and pretty much explain what they are and what they do. So let's start with the one on the far left bottom here, and it's the preview button. So essentially this just previews what it is that other people are going to be seeing. But if you're going to be using software like Skype or OBS or any other software that manages videos, you really need to have this on, and they even tell you about it here. So all you have to do is click that button, and it's going to turn off. And even the camera's still on and the preview is off, there will be a blue LED that lights up around the camera, so it'll let you know that the camera is off. But if you want to turn it back on, it's going to go back on, and then that LED is going to turn green. Alright, so the next selector over is going to be a resolution. So when you click on it, it's going to give you different resolution. All is going to be in high def, but you're looking at 3 mainly, is the 720, 1080, and 4K. So depending on what video you're trying to accomplish, you can select either 4K, 1080p, or 720. I'm going to keep the 1080p for now, and then we'll go on from there. So the next button here is going to be your tracking. So this is where it gets super cool. The AI that runs the software will essentially recognize your face, and then from there, if you move left to right, it's going to follow you. So watch this as I click on it. It's going to track me. So now if I go over here, it's going to follow me. And if I go over here, like that, that's pretty damn awesome, huh? So now you don't even have to be seated. You can just walk around. You can be standing, dancing, do all that stuff, and it's gonna track you wherever you go. And then you can of course always turn it off too if that gets a little bit annoying. All right, cool. So the next one here is the whiteboard that I was alluding to earlier during the unboxing, where it gives you those four little L brackets. What you're gonna do is gonna put those L brackets on the border, the corners rather, of your whiteboard, and then from there, with hand gestures, the camera will automatically jump from you to the whiteboard, and then from there focuses, it keeps its focus on there. All right, so the next one we're looking at here is the overhead mode. So this is another cool option, which I'm not gonna show you now, but I'm gonna show you on the website on how it works. So essentially, it sets the camera pointing downward towards your desk workstation. But the cool thing about that is like an overhead recorder. So therefore you can do your doodles, you can write stuff, take notes, and it's gonna display it on the screen for other people to see if you wanna do screen sharing and stuff like that. All right, and then the last mode, we have the desk view mode. Essentially, it's the same exact thing as the overhead mode, but the overhead mode is more for a tripod mount, where you have a tripod and you point it directly down towards your desk. Whereas the desktop mode here, or desk view mode, I should say, it's already mounted on top of your screen, and it's from there pointed downward. Same exact thing. So yeah, which is a pretty cool option. All right, so next we're gonna go over to the last two buttons on the lower right-hand corner. The first being a screenshot, which you already know what that is. All it does is take a picture of currently what the camera's seeing. So very self-explanatory. And to its right, you're looking at the record video. So if you click on it, it's gonna start recording whatever the camera sees. So if you're live streaming on OBS, or if you're doing Skype, they have their own recording function. But if you hit record on here, it's going to store that file locally onto your video folder local on your computer. All right, so next we're going to get into the coolest function of this camera, is that you have a built-in gimbal. And if you look to the right here, you have your little joystick that can control the camera wherever you want it to aim. So for example, if I want it to look left a little bit, I can pan it to the left. And if I want it to look right, I can pan it to the right, and it's going to keep its balance. And or if I want to point it down, or if I wanted to point it up, I can do that as well. So it's really self-explanatory, and it's an amazing feature. All right, so right below the gimbal function, you have the zoom function. So you have a little sliding bar here. Of course, positive means higher zoom, negative means further zoom. See a little bit more wider angle. So you can have this camera placed a decent amount away from you, and then if you need to get closer and closer, you can definitely do that too. Same zoom function applies for the overhead mode and the desktop mode. So over here you have the preset position. So if you have a certain project that you're doing and you know have that perfect frame that you want to keep, you can always save it here, and then hit the position 1, position 2. You can always add different positions, and then once you click on them, they will automatically move back to those positions. So for example, that was position 1. The next position, I want it to zoom all the way into my face. And now I want to save that position. So now you have two positions. I can go 1, 2, 1. Dramatic effect. So yeah, that's really, really awesome. So right now we're on the gimbal portion of the controller, but if you look to the right, you have image setting. And what this is that it allows you to be more customizable with your image and what it looks like. So right now everything is set on auto, the white balance, the auto exposure. But if you want to turn these off, you can always control them manually. You can adjust the brightness, contrast, sharpness, etc. And then last but not least, we got the more settings. And here is where the hand gestures comes into play. So you have the high five for the auto tracking. You have the one finger. Make sure it's the index finger for the zoom. And then the whiteboard is essentially the peace sign. You can have them on or off, up to you. And then here too is the tracking portion of it. So it depends on how fast, normal, or slow your tracking is. So earlier when I was moving left and right and it was following me, depending on if you're going to be doing a lot of dance moves that requires fast tracking, you might want to select the fast portion of it. So it all depends on your content. And of course enable tracking, enable single tracking, and also the AI zoom. So this essentially select if you want to do face, body, or full body, and it's going to keep that zoom as it's tracking you. All right, so next we have the anti-flicker, which I recommend keep it on auto. And then, of course, the camera focus. So here is where it gets into what content that you want to produce, because if you're going to be moving around, doing a lot of movements, the autofocus feature is pretty amazing with this camera. But let's say, for example, if we're just here talking and is recording on a stationary object, you might want to connect it to manual, or he might want to select it to manual autofocus because it stays focused even though you move slightly. In the past, some of the autofocus may blur you out for a second and focuses you, so that may be a little bit disorienting or jarring if somebody's watching you closely. But now, if you keep it on manual, it should be okay for that because it keeps you centered and focused. So it really depends on what you're looking for. Okay, so next you have the streamer mode. So what that does is that it enables portrait view of the camera. So it flips it portrait wise. So if you're doing TikTok and whatnot, it will accommodate for that. And right below that, we have the smart adjustment. And essentially, it just figures out what it is that's important that's in front of its frame, so it focuses on it and it keeps the focus. And then after that, you have HDR. So here's the thing: if you select earlier the resolution to 4K, it's not going to work. HDR is only enabled for 1080p. Remember that. HDR 1080p only. Oh, I apologize, and 720 as well. So if I select this, you have a much higher dynamic range, but sometimes the image can be a little bit darker. So if you have a backlight or you probably need more light in the frame for this to happen. So I'm gonna turn it off, and there we go. I'm brightening up a little bit. So yeah, so that's what that is. Mirror image essentially is what you see versus what other people see. So sometimes if you're waving your left hand and then you see it on the right, it's like a mirror effect, like you're looking into a mirror if you're doing shots of yourself. But this is all just personal preference. If I raise my left hand and I see it on the right side of my screen, it doesn't bother me. But some people want to see the left and also the left on their screen as well. So you enable that if you wish. And then firmware. This is where the firmware earlier that I was talking to you about to download. So essentially, click on that button, click on update. It's gonna shut itself off for a little bit, do a little dance, and then once the firmware is installed, it's gonna go right back online. So once you initiated the firmware update, you're gonna see the screen, and you may be prompted to give it permission in order to get to the screen. So just go ahead and hit yes on that. And remember to keep the webcam connected. I guess it goes without saying because it's not wireless, but you know, sometimes we just need to read it out to people. All right, like the screen suggests, it's going to take a few minutes. Alrighty, so once the firmware is completed, it'll say successful, hit done, and I am back. Alright guys, essentially that's pretty much all there is to install the Insta360 link. It's pretty self-explanatory. This little camera is actually pretty badass. I like it, and I will be using it going forward for all of my podcasts. So if you haven't checked out any of my podcasts, check out the playlist, and you can see it there. And if you have any questions about this webcam or any other things that I can maybe help you out with, feel free to comment below, and then I'll try to respond as soon as possible. But essentially, yeah, it's pretty easy. So if you like this content and you find the video helpful, please like and subscribe and hit the bell notification. And then I wish you the best of luck. Stay safe. Wide Open Throttle signing out.